Music.
Yo, yo.
Hey, Dogging It Live show. We're here at the CSI Expo, and we have with us none other than the CEO of CueSports International, Ozzy Reynolds. How's it going, Ozzy?
Pretty good. Very busy.
I'm surprised Ozzy came back on after that dumpster fire that what was supposed to be the initial interview this morning, Joe.
Well, we dogged it,
I'm
man.
just
We
saying. I'm
lived up
just
to
saying.
our
I'm
name.
just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just
Having some
saying.
problems, just having some problems with the technology. It takes a little while, but we finally got it together. No thanks to Melina Mike sitting at home in his boxers.
I knew
I'll be there tomorrow night, boys.
I knew you guys were in trouble when he was asking Melina for technical advice.
That's facts. That's big facts.
Uh,
Ozzy, how is it, man? It's been a lot leading up to it, and this is like the crown jewel for you guys. I know you guys have events going on all over the country, but I've been to a few of them, and there's nothing like the Rio and the CSI Expo. So how's it been?
Yeah, well, setup in the first couple days are usually the most challenging. We've been here since Wednesday, setting this thing up. Today was the big milestone, the kickoff of day one, and there's always the big inspection where the government can come in and check out your setup and shut you down if they want to. But we're getting pretty good at this. Passed with flying colors. We're off to the races. Always a few technical glitches in the beginning, but things look like they're in pretty good swing. I, I don't, you're not here to see it, Melina, but I can tell you last night when we opened the room, that's the busiest I've ever seen that room
yeah,
on opening night.
yeah. So I was talking with my buddy Chisholm, and he was looking for a table. Somebody said, "Come on down and get some practice in this main room here." And he was like, he couldn't believe it. He said every table was taken. Like everybody was excited and pumped to be there. And I said earlier on the show two comments. One, walking in and just seeing this table or this sea of Predator tables, which 18 months ago was just kind of like a thought, didn't actually have any tables yet. And now they have like ballrooms full of tables. And two, this guy that just walks up to me and he kind of, it's like a little kid in the candy store, literally looks at me and says, "It's my first time. It's my first time." And I said, "Enjoy it, man. Enjoy it. This is like pool paradise. Check it out." Tell me about hearing that story, Ozzy. Like just people walking in for the first time and their jaw dropping to this experience. I mean, what's that mean to you?
Boy, everybody remembers their first time, Joey.
Oh, the
No,
show
it's
just took a turn.
I was telling Joey offline we're 40% up, 40,
Mm.
40% up this year. We knew we would be up. I have to be honest, I didn't expect it to be 40%. We were kind of like inundated with registrations, but it's a good problem to have, and I think all the hard work that we've been doing for the last really 6 to 7 years, going way back, is beginning to bear fruit. Right, sometimes it takes time. With our partnership with Fargo Rate was kind of the catalyst that kind of kicked off the new era, I would say. Bringing back the pro events here at the Rio way back in 2019 with Predator, the U.S. Pro Billiard Series, now the gorgeous Predator Apex tables that all of our league members can play on, the look and feel of the event. Don't know if you've been to the Amazon ballroom, Joey, in the
Not
back.
yet.
Oh, we're going back there when we're done with this.
All
Joey,
right.
Joe,
We
Joey's been on the pool table. Joey's
we
been on the
have
pool
a
table
we
in
have
front of
two
us.
arenas this year. So we have the main arena in the Pavilion Ballroom. That's the nice new LED arena that Predator and CSI invested in. But we've also got the second arena in the Amazon Ballroom to breathe even more life into that room and make it more exciting. And 321 total tables,
Jeez.
about 7,000 players over the next 11 days, 150,000 square feet. A lot of moving parts, but yeah, I'm very, very happy so far. Cross our fingers, toes, eyes, elbows, whatever it takes. We got 10 more days, but it's gonna be a madhouse at the end of this thing when the teams get here.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the tables because tables were a big part of the story last year. And, going from having the Predator tables for the pro event and then now introducing however many you said, 300, right? Is that what you said for the amateurs or what was it altogether?
So total we have 321, but technically competition tables we have 276 in play.
Yeah, wow.
Wow.
You're taking it easy this year,
Yeah,
huh?
light
No,
light
but
work.
how are they playing, Ozzy? You're a player. A lot of people don't know this, but you're a high 600 player. I'd be interested to see you and Joey, knock them around a little bit. But how are the tables playing? Truth be told,
Well, I haven't played, but the feedback that we've been hearing so far has been overwhelmingly positive, which is very good, right? Anytime you do a change, you expect a little bit of the
right?
backlash just because there's a general resistance to change. And let's face it, Diamond makes a fantastic table, great product. Love those guys over at Diamond, but the feedback so far has been very 10 more days. We don't,
So,
who knows, but I don't want to count those chickens before they hatch. But so far, I could not be happier with the table, the way they look, the way they feel. And I think the players are pretty excited as well.
Ozzy, can you share a little about the playability of the tables and what you guys? I know you had a lot of input, especially in the 7 foot tables, and what you guys were looking to achieve with the table in terms of like the difficulty level and how the pockets play. Uh, what kind of feedback did you share with them as they were making the tables?
Yeah, so one of the exciting things about this partnership was Predator invited us to be part of the design of this particular table. Now they may design other versions of this table for other targets, right? But this table, the Premier League edition table, was for us. So we went to Spain last summer, uh, looked at some prototypes, played on them, and they invited us to give our feedback to tell us what do you want, what would work best for your members. So we wanted some changes, and what we were really looking for was we don't think a brutally tight table is good for amateur league play, nor do we think an incredibly sloppy loose table is good for any sort of play. So we wanted that happy medium, right? And I'm not saying it's in between sloppy and brutal, but we wanted something that you really had to make the shot, right? You can't hit the second diamond and the ball go in. But at the same time, you don't want it to spit out balls that were hit pretty good,
Yeah.
right? These are amateur league players, and that's the target for this. And I believe we nailed it just based on the feedback because this isn't the first event we've used these tables. We've been using these tables since
It's the Canadian
August,
Open, right? In Canada, if I'm not mistaken.
right? And we
Yeah.
do post event surveys after every event we do. So we monitor the feedback. We measure, is it going up? Is it going down? Um, and so far, I couldn't be happier.
Usually after the events, you have ball sets for sale. Will there be any tables that are going to be available for purchase for anyone if they're looking for that, Ozzy?
If anyone wants to purchase 321 tables, they can see us at the registration desk.
Okay, well, easy, Tiger, easy. Hey, by the way, since we got you
Hey,
on the
Ozzy,
show, oh, go
go.
ahead.
Sorry. Well, I was just gonna
No,
say Ozzy was asking me what I thought of the table because we have the table right in front here, and I told him, I said, this is such a small sample size. I need a little more time to evaluate
No,
it.
no, 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 no. That's not what you said.
Oh, what did I say?
He said, I missed a ball, so something must be wrong with it.
see, that's the Joey Ryan I know.
No, I was
That's the
positioning to get some more time on the table. So I said, just ship it back to Arizona. And I promise I'll give it a thorough evaluation over the next 15 to 20 years. And then I'll let you know, you know?
Well, speaking of purchasing some equipment, I've had a bit of a history purchasing ball sets from you, primarily from the final of the World 10 Ball in years past. So I'm going to put you on the spot. Is that something that we'd be able to do this year as well, Ozzy?
It's possible. It's not just our event. I would have to see if there's plans for those, but you'll be here later in the week, so let's talk.
Definitely, definitely. What's that relationship with Predator like? Because that's who you're referring to there. How difficult is it to work with them, or how easy is it to work with them? You guys are both big boys in your own space. You guys on the league side, and then from the equipment standpoint. How has that relationship been like to be able to have that gel that works and creates this event?
It's actually it's been amazing. Um, it's interesting because they used to be primarily manufacturing, marketing, wholesale, retail, and we were leagues and events. Now they're getting more into the events side of things with much different products. So they're evolving as a company, and so is their culture. Um, so it's interesting. Actually, there's a fair number of Predator employees on the event side of their business that used to work for CSI.
Hmm.
So that makes things super, super smooth. We all have very close relationships. Karim and I think, share a vision, and I couldn't really imagine having a better partner. And I love what those guys stand for. And they don't talk. They don't just talk. They walk the walk. I was telling Joey a little bit ago, can just wrap your mind around the fact that about 18 months ago, they didn't even have a pool table. And now you walk into the Rio and there's 321 of them, including a coin op, by the way, out in the rotunda. I don't know
Yeah, I
if you
saw
noticed
that.
that, Joey.
I did. Yeah.
So it's amazing what they've done in such a short period of time. They've been incredible partners, and they have, with their help, I think, is why we're seeing our events and our leagues blossom so much recently.
So you talked about the partnership with Predator and the vision that you both share in this US Pro Billiard Series. And now we're several years into this thing. And when we first started talking about it, it was like, oh wow, something new, an idea, let's try it. And how many of those have we seen in pool, right? That didn't stick. But it looks like this one's sticking. And back to kind of give you guys credit in terms of this was a multi-year commitment that you guys were making to make this happen. So here we are, several years into this thing. You made a few tweaks to the format. The Alpha Las Vegas is going on right now. Where do you assess kind of where you are in terms of like when you first started and where you want to get to?
Mm. You never reach the finish line, right? You're never done. You have to constantly keep pushing, improving, and just trying to improve the industry and your own business in the process. Uh, I've wanted to do something like the U.S. Pro Billiard Series for years. They're just because we have events all over the country every year for our league members. We had the Ohio event and the Wisconsin event and the Oklahoma event and the Arizona event. We did these things every year anyway. And I always thought, in Vegas, we would have the pro events and it was just a big deal, right? The league players love it. The pros have a real audience. And you can get that synergy between, the fans and the players. And I've always wanted to replicate what we would do here in Las Vegas with those smaller events all around the country. I just thought it would be a winning recipe, in time.
Do you still
Um,
feel that way?
Absolutely. So I've always wanted to do that. And when Predator and CSI started working together, it started out just doing the World 10 Ball and the Las Vegas Open here in Vegas. I shared. It was actually during the pandemic. I shared with Karim what I've always wanted to do with these smaller state and regional events because I knew they were interested in getting involved in more events and creating a nice platform to showcase their products. So it was kind of a natural marriage, really. It was like they wanted to do it. I've always wanted to do it. We came together. We made it happen. Like anything in our industry, year one, a little bit lukewarm. People are taking a wait and see approach. But I think every event has filled since year one, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
But
so
what
it's
I
here to
really
stay.
want what I really want to know is that lady who was once there yelling about the masks. Is she there in the rotunda? Because Lord knows, if I see her, I know who she is right off the bat.
Greer pastor. No, she's a friend of ours, and she was helping us out when we desperately needed it during the whole COVID era. We weren't going to
kidding.
go on a hiring spree at that point, but yeah, not here this year, so
Yeah.
you're safe.
That's good to know. We talk about Vegas, and obviously you guys are there. I always say that there's nothing in pool that compares to it, but I've heard a lot from people that the Puerto Rico event seems to be shaping up along those same lines. So, what are the goals for that? What is their dates already ironed out for this year? And what's the overall vision for what that event could be like?
Yeah, that event has an enormous amount of potential. I can't say that I see that event getting to the size of this one. I mean, we have 150,000 square feet here, but that event could be enormous, um, probably in very short time. I think within 3 to 5 years, that thing is going to explode. The feedback we got this year, again, year one, lukewarm, wait and see. Um, but it was amazing. It was an amazing event, and I think people that didn't go saw what it looked like on social media and YouTube,
Yeah.
and wished they had gone. And I think
We're
a lot
bitter.
of them,
We're
a lot of
extremely bitter.
a lot of them
Extremely
will turn
bitter.
out this year, and even more in the third year. So, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that exploded, and we're happy to be part of it.
Yeah, it was kind of cool seeing the players. If you think about the life of a professional pool player, when they travel, I'm sure people kind of glamorize it and say, "Oh wow, you get to go to Germany, you get to go to Poland, you get to go to all these places," but they don't actually get to enjoy beautiful places. Typically they're inside the pool room and stuff, and one of the cool things about Puerto Rico is seeing players kind of get out and explore the tropics. I remember seeing Kelly Fisher posting something about being out at the beach or somewhere, and we know about Alex had that incident in the rainforest, but it was cool to see them. They're real people just like everyone else, right? And so to have the chance to go to a place like Puerto Rico, a travel destination, and not just play pool, but then also be able to explore and have some fun. I see that event being one that the pros are going to put on their calendar and want to go to every single year. You feel the same way?
Not just the pros, our league players are really looking forward to it. We have leagues forming new divisions for the purpose of building prize fund and sending players to Puerto Rico.
Really?
They're calling it their Caribbean division or their Puerto Rico
Nice.
division. Yeah, it's amazing. Um, and to show you what kind of partner Predator is, this was really a Predator driven event, right? Karim lives in Puerto Rico. I think he felt, I don't want to speak for him, but I think he felt a need to sort of give back to the island to create something very special there. And I can tell you, he worked his butt off to make that event happen. Probably the better part of 2 years, making it happen, getting the venue, getting sponsors on the island, getting local media involved, getting the right people in place to make it happen. And they invited us to be part of it by bringing our league members in. And at the end of all of that, when we were conceiving what's the name of the event going to be, he looked at me and he says, let's call it the CueSports International or the Caribbean CueSports International Expo.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
So like that was just it. It was decided.
That was it.
That's awesome.
I said, are you serious? He's like, yeah, why not? I want you to be successful too. So
Wow. That's super
that's
cool.
what kind of partner we have in Predator.
So, talking about the billiard series, pro billiard series, what is one thing that you maybe would have done different, or something that since its inception? I know you've made several tweaks and changes, or
We're
you've
seeing
fielded
that this year.
a lot of you know feedback from players. If you could do one thing differently right from the start, what would it have been?
One thing differently. Wow, that's a good question.
Yeah. Okay, it's not a live show or
That's a good
anything.
question. It's not a live show.
It's not dead. Take your time. It's not
Good
dead
job,
air. Don't
Joe.
worry about it.
Good job, Joe.
Honestly, I don't think I would have done anything differently. I really, I mean, I think it's following the natural evolution. Um, I don't think, again, I don't want to speak for Predator, but based on our conversations, I think we both agree the same old what I would consider stale, boring, straight race format. We know what that is. We've been doing that for decades, over decades. We wanted to do something different, something more engaging. Um, the players may not necessarily prefer it. I understand that. I'm not a professional player, but I'm a decent amateur, so I get it. You want to have the highest odds possible that you're going to win that match.
Right.
But we
If
we
you're
want
the
to get
favorite,
we
if
want
you're
to
the favorite,
sure. Well,
Yeah.
they all think they're the favorite, right? I
Well,
mean, professionals go into a match with that mentality. They're going to win. But we're really looking at it from the standpoint of we want to grow the audience, and the players may not see it right now, but we're confident that if or when that works, as the audience grows, the fan base grows, more sponsors get interested, just more people in general get interested, the tide rises, and the players are going to be a huge beneficiary of that. So they'll see in time. Um, we did make a tweak to the format this year that I think was a good one. It wasn't easy. There was a lot of opinions on what changes, if any, should be made. But I really like the change because if you think about it, there's no change in stage one. So it's not a race to four. I mean, you have to lose 2 matches
Yeah.
to be eliminated. And if you're not eliminated in stage, now you're in a 3-set format, which is what players really were kind of screaming for anyway, right? Give us a third set.
Yeah.
The problem with a third set for the entire event is it just takes too long.
Yeah.
As short as it sounds, race to 4, 2 races to 4, it takes a long time.
Yeah. I mean, it's really like a race to 8, and it's 10 ball, which is takes a little longer than 9 ball typically. You get
It's
in a lot of defensive exchanges, so I can see that. So the
Dr. Ryan
format,
over here.
take us. You like how I broke that down?
That's
So
that next level insight, man. They're gonna put you on payroll in no time, Joe.
yeah. So I mean, to the layperson, the outsider looking in, you had players, concerned about the format over the years and shared their feedback with you, and then we see a change. Uh, Tell us how that change comes about. Is there a committee? Is there deliberations? Is there a little back and forth, a little tug in there? How does it work to come up with an actual change to the format?
yes.
Okay.
All
Never
of them.
ask a closed-ended question in an interview.
There's all of that. It's a Predator CSI initiative, and decisions of that magnitude are made with representatives and team members from both sides of the fence. There's healthy debates, productive discussions. Um, this one, I would say, was probably a 6-week decision
Really?
on exactly what to do. We don't just knee-jerk reaction and make changes. There's a lot of discussion, which I think it could be frustrating at times. You feel like you're not making any progress and you're spinning your wheels, but really in the end, you get to a really well thought out solution, in my opinion.
But what was the variance there? I mean, did you have people calling for like single races to 11, or was it all kind of built around what you guys already had in place and just minor adjustments?
Everything was on the table.
Really?
There were some members of the team that threw it out there. What if we did go to a straight race? I would say most members probably weren't in that camp. There were some that wanted the races to be even shorter but more sets. There was hey, let's do the whole tournament as 3 races to 4. And then it was, do we want more shootouts or less? I mean, we kind of hashed through all of that, but we have to always come back to how long is it going to take? Because even with 2 races to 4 in a shootout, we have some matches that go longer than 2 hours.
Yeah.
Some people might be surprised at that, but that's just the fact. So we got to get a certain number of matches in per day. We can't kill the crew, right? If we have 2.5-hour matches and we want to do 5 matches a day, that's just too much. Do we need to hire a second crew to come in and give some relief? So there's financial considerations. And then there's a whole viewership aspect, right?
Yeah.
What's going to be more engaging? If you have 2 races, beat this dead horse to death, but 2 races to 4 versus a race to 8. right? 6-0 in a race to 8, you're probably leaving. You're going to go do something more productive. If versus someone that wins the first race 4-0 and then the second one is 2-0, that's much more compelling.
Yeah.
I mean, you get pressure from the jump. I watched a little bit of the Sky match, or a lot of bit of the Sky match. Sky wins the first set pretty easily. Jeff goes up, I think, 3-0 in the second set. And then as soon as Sky gets one on the board, it was like you just saw Jeff kind of tighten up a little bit, because even though you're at 3-1, it's not over yet, you know? And Sky ends up coming back and winning
Yep.
4-3 in the second set. And I feel like you just don't get that from any other event. I've said it whether you've been on the show or not. To me, this particular event is my favorite. Granted, I haven't been to Puerto Rico and I'm still a little salty about it. But the CSI Expo at the Rio there's just nothing like it, man. You guys have created just a great atmosphere. It reminds me of, like, I take my kids to the carnival, right, a couple times a year. We go, or like the pumpkin patch, and everywhere you go, there's something to do, something exciting. You go around the whole place, and there's a ton going on. You can be there for hours and hours. This is what it's like as an adult. You get to go, and every room you go into, there's something new going on, whether it's minis or pro matches here. Amateurs are going deep, whether in singles, or then you got teams later on. You got vendors. I mean, there's just, you can be walking down the hallway and you're seeing world champions. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And along those lines, Ozzy, Mike and I tend to a lot of times focus on the pro game, and people are interested in what the pros are doing, but really let's not forget that the majority of people are never going to reach the pro level, but they love playing pool. And that's kind of what your events cater to, right? You do have the pro events, and we talk a lot about them on this show. But can you give us kind of like, I know there's a lot going on, but can you give us kind of a breakdown of the other events that you have going on here for the amateurs? Just so folks who maybe missed out this year, know what's available to them.
Sure. So at the core of what CSI does is leagues. And we have 2 leagues currently under our umbrella. We have the BCA Pool League, which has been around for a long, long time, since 1978. And the USA Pool League, which is much younger. It's been around since 2010. 2 different leagues, 2 different structures. Format and scoring is all very different. But this event, the CueSports International Expo, is the home of both of those league championships. So we have the BCA Pool League World Championships and the USA Pool League National Championships. So both of those leagues compete all year in their various divisions back home, and their division winners end up here in Las Vegas to compete for the championship, whether it's a world championship or a national championship. And then, of course, as you guys well cover the pro game, we know all the pro events that are here, including the 3-cushion event, by the way, over in the Miranda Ballroom.
I'm going to check that out. It was really neat last time we were here.
Joey will do whatever it takes to get away from the booth. Whatever it takes to get out of there. I'm telling
you. Anyway, Ozzy, continue.
Well, Melina, Joey never asked for a pool table, but I knew if I put one here, he'd never leave the booth. So
yeah, there you go. There you go. That's next level thinking right there. And we appreciate that. No, listen, a lot of people don't know, but Ozzy's welcomed us in with open arms since the beginning. And he's never done it hanging anything over our head or expecting anything from us, or do this, do that. It's always been do what you guys do, and we'd love to have you over here. I showed up to, I think it was Michigan. No phone call, no nothing. I just walked in the door and I said, "Hey, you got room for me?" And Ozzy said, "I sure do." And didn't even blink an eye. And that's not the reason why I say the things I say about the event or what you guys got going on, but it's just a reflection of the people that are behind an event like this size, and that's the truth. So we appreciate.
Well, I appreciate that. What you guys do is important. You may not get millions of views yet, but what you do is important because our industry, in my opinion, doesn't have much media. You're the closest thing to it. I think you're doing a great job, and you should do what you do without interference from me or anyone else. I mean, you may not be journalist, but I'll use the term journalistic integrity, right? Call it as you see it, good or bad. Just do what you do, because as long as you're talking about pool That's good for pool, which will be good for us in the long run.
That's what we do. That's
Absolutely.
what we're passionate about. And I used to be a pool player. And the last time I was here, I snuck away and played in one of your CSI events here. And I thought it was a really neat concept because for a guy like me, I've been really busy. I haven't had time to play in one of your pool leagues and qualify. So I want people to know that there is an avenue for that too. If they aren't a BCA or USAPL member, they can still come out here and get in on the fun. So tell them about the CSI tournaments.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Man, it's like I fed you questions or something.
No,
You're pretty good. You're pretty good, Joey.
thanks.
No,
I'm not a journalist or anything.
Yeah. We created the CSI singles division. So we have three CSI, 8 ball, 9 ball, and 10 ball, and they're just singles divisions. You know, two-day divisions like race to 7 or something like that. The intent was we're not trying to bypass leagues or anything because leagues are the core of what we do and they're very important for the industry. But some people, for whatever reason, can't commit, or maybe they just haven't committed yet. Maybe they don't see the value in it. You have to commit, and there's time and travel and money and family and everything going on all year.
I'm that guy.
But we wanted an avenue for people to be able to come to this event who may not necessarily be league members, dip their toe in the water. And I'm confident that if someone is in that position, like a Joey Ryan, uh, sure, maybe you'll never have the time to commit to league, but most likely, I think most people that come out here that haven't committed to a league, and they play in the CSI divisions, they see what this event is all about. They're going to love it, and they're going to want to play in those bigger, more prestigious league divisions. So maybe they go home and think twice and join a league next year so they can play in the other divisions, maybe even play on a team.
Yeah, or just be able to tell people about coming out here, and then the other people who come out here get exposed to the league formats, and
Yeah,
go back and join a league. I bumped into a buddy of mine. Actually, you know him pretty well too. I think from when you were back east. Kevin West was walking through here,
Oh, yeah.
and I saw Kevin. I interviewed him on the podcast a while back, and I said, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" And he's like, "You know what? I just jumped on a plane and headed out here, and I'm entering the CSI tournaments."
There
And
you
I was
go.
like, "Oh, that's cool." And I said, "Are you in the other pro tournaments?" He's like, "No, I didn't get invited to the World 10 Ball, and I was too late for that the Las Vegas Open."
Mhm.
And so I was like, "Well, let me talk to Ozzy and see if we can get you an invite to the World 10 Ball."
Good
So
job,
if
Joe.
you have an extra spot, Kevin West might be interested. And he's a very good
Excellent.
player. So
He's on one of our roll-ups in the hallway. I don't know
Oh,
if
is
you
he?
noticed. Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
good guy.
he is a good guy, and he's a chicken farmer, literally a chicken
Literally.
farmer,
Yep.
and the best pool playing chicken farmer you'll ever meet for sure. So Ozzy, this is day one of this event, and already there's a buzz about the place. What are you expecting when the teams get here?
Oh, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna let the staff in. No, it's gonna be. We had a staff meeting, and we were talking about 40% up. What does that mean? Where's the strain points going to be? Where are the lines going to be? How are we going to filter the lines? We need to get more chairs in the ballrooms. There's lots of things to think through when you think about 40% more people. And by the way, last year was big, so 40%
Well,
over that. And I was in the staff meeting. I said, "Who here has seen The Walking Dead?" Because that's what it's going to look like when all those teams get here. It's just going to be hordes and hordes of people in every aisle. It'll be interesting, but it'll be awesome.
Yeah. I have to touch on this one subject because it just comes up all the time on our show. Comes up all the time when you talk with pool players. I'm not sure if you caught the message from Josh Filler and Pia about not getting back in time or not being able to get back in time to play in the Premier League pool. And if we didn't talk about this, it would just be intentionally not talking about it because it is an issue, right? You guys have a schedule of events. Uh, they're big events, and they pay really well. And Matchroom also has a schedule of events, their own events, and then events that are Matchroom points events, and those are out there. And this schedule now is getting more and more crowded, and it's more difficult for players to make it from one continent to another to play in these events. Just give us your overall feeling on this. and how the players are going to deal with this in the coming years, and kind of what you guys are thinking in terms of how to help this issue.
Yeah. On one hand, it's a good problem. It's certainly better than the problem we used to have where there were no events
Yeah.
anywhere, anytime. Good paying ones, anyway. Um, so it's good that that problem is surfacing, generally speaking. Um, as someone who negotiates contracts with venues and tries to lock down dates, especially in the bigger venues, it's tough. I can imagine for Matchroom, it's even tougher when you have a broadcast partner that has its own set of restrictions, right? So they're probably I don't know for sure, but they're probably dealing with venue restrictions. They're probably dealing with broadcast restrictions. So maybe they're in a position where they just have to kind of take what they can when they can. And I can certainly understand that. It's unfortunate for the players when they have to miss one of the events because all the events are awesome. If I was a player, I'd want to play in all of them, and I would certainly want ample time to be able to travel. But I don't know that you can really blame any one particular person or party. All I would say is I think we'd all be better off if we could all work closely together, row in the same direction, all grow the industry together because, boy, we could do some awesome things if we were doing that um, rather than, maybe not working so closely together.
And you're open to that.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's nothing like friends. Enemies don't get you anywhere. Friends can get you very high places. So um, I've told Matchroom before and would continue to say we're absolutely open to working together. Anything else would be kind of foolish. Um, so far it just hasn't happened. So who knows? One day maybe.
Well, I think that's a positive note to end on, Joe. So you.
Yeah. No, I mean, Ozzy, we appreciate you, one, having us out here, two, taking the time to talk to us on day one. And this tells me that you're getting even better at running this event, because the first year we came, we wanted to have a sit down with you, and it was like day 7 before we got you in here to talk to you. Last year, we wanted to have a sit down. It was probably day 3. And now on day 1, you're able to talk to us. So you must be getting really good at doing this.
Bigger and better staff.
Now,
Okay.
that's what I was gonna
That's
say.
what
Knowing Ozzy, he's gonna say it's his team
No,
because
a couple years ago, we were, we're still in the COVID era. When your business model is all predicated on people playing pool in bars and pool rooms, and the whole world is shut down, it's kind of a scary proposition. So you're not going to go on a hiring spree. So I was personally doing a lot of the work to get us through that, which is why you didn't see me too much. But thank goodness, bigger, better event. But I've also got a bigger, better staff. Every one of my staff is doing awesome. I think they're a big part of the reason that we're having the success we're having as well. And we'll continue to grow that as well. We're even moving offices because we've outgrown the existing office. So,
Well, that's awesome. And
future's bright.
yeah, and we wish you continued success. And we got our fingers crossed the same way you do, that nothing turns up in the next 9 or so days, as something sometimes does, and that everybody just enjoys himself and has a great event. I think it's setting up to be one of the best events ever. And with the World 10 Ball to kind of close it out from the professional ranks, I'm really excited for it. So thanks for having us.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Awesome.
we'll see you tomorrow, buddy.